Before watching my video, please subscribe my channel. Today, the theme of my riddles is who is the murderer? Hello viewers, in this video, I'll ask 10 riddles. You will have 7 seconds to solve each riddle. So let's go to the first riddle without waiting.
10.
On one Sunday morning, a lady shot her husband and dipped him into water for 5 minutes. On the same day, in the evening, both were enjoying dinner in a 5-star hotel. Then they went to watch a movie in the cinema. How could this possible? Can you solve this riddle? The correct answer of this riddle is the lady didn't shoot her husband with the pistol. Instead, she shot him with camera. Let's solve the next riddle.
9.
A man was found dead in his house. Inspector Oliver reached in that house where he examined the crime scene. A tape recorder was recovered. When he pressed the play button, it played, "I have nothing to go on. My life is a failure. I better commit suicide." Then a gunshot was heard. Inspector Oliver immediately understood it wasn't a suicide. It was a murder. Can you find out how? Would it be a suicide? The cassette was supposed to play when the dead person stopped speaking. Who did rewind the tape? It must have been recorded by another person.
8.
One Sunday morning, Mr. Smith was found dead in his house. Mrs. Smith called the police. Inspector Oliver reaches at a crime scene and begins investigation. Mrs. Smith said, "I don't know. I was sleeping." The butler said, "I don't know. I was cleaning the kitchen cabinets." The maid said, "I had gone to collect the mail." The cook said, "I was making breakfast." The gardener said, "I was picking vegetables." Inspector Oliver immediately arrested the murderer. Can you find out who was the murderer? The maid said she had gone to collect the mail from the post office while it was Sunday and there are no mail on Sunday. It means she was lying.
7.
A man was murdered in a street. Another man, whose name was Peter, wearing green coat and having brown hair, is suspected to commit the murder. Inspector Oliver investigates him. He says, "Though I was present in the street, but I wasn't alone. There were also another man wearing coat of the same color and having brown hair, and he fired at the back of the victim. As soon as I heard the gunshot, I was scared and ran away to home." Inspector Oliver understood that who has committed the murder and arrested him. Do you know who was the actual criminal and how? If you look at the victim, he was fired in the stomach. It means that the man who fired at him was in front of him and Peter was lying. He was the real criminal.
6.
Mr. and Mrs. Donald go to the hill station to spend weekend. Mrs. Donald died during the stay in the hotel. The travel agent was the only person who knew about their trip. The travel agent calls Inspector Oliver and says Donald has killed his wife himself. Inspector Oliver arrests Mr. Donald. Are you wise enough to find out how they were sure that Donald was the real murderer? Because the travel agent showed tickets to Inspector Oliver, it is clear that Mr. Donald purchased return ticket for himself and only one-sided ticket for his wife. How he knew that she won't be coming back?
5,
It was the first day of the college. Anna Gardner was found murdered. The principal suspects 4 lecturers, Smith, John, William and Adams. Inspector Oliver was called. He examined the crime scene and investigates all the 4 lecturers. Mr. Smith says, I was reading newspaper in the library. Mr. John says, I was driving car at that time. Mr. William says, I was checking English tests in the staff room. Mr. Adams says, I had gone with my wife to her office. Inspector Oliver quickly understands who has committed the murder. Can you tell who was the murderer and why? The answer is that Mr. William has committed the murder because it was the first day of the college and how he could have been checking the exam papers.
4,
As soon as Mr. Kipper entered in his house, he heard the screaming voice of his wife. She said, No, Harry, don't kill me. And then a gunshot was heard. The sound came from the kitchen. When Kipper entered in the kitchen, he saw his wife was laying dead on the floor and 3 men were standing nearby, a cop, an advocate and a doctor, and all of them were strangers to the Kipper. He called police station and reported, a cop has killed my wife. Can you find out how he knew that the cop was the real murderer? Because name of the cop was written on his nameplate.
3,
Mr. Benjamin was a multimillionaire business tycoon. He lived in his magnificent circular house. On one morning at 10 a.m., he was found murdered in his room. Inspector Oliver investigates the suspects. Driver says, I was washing the car in the garage. The cook said, I was planning for the lunch. The maid said, I was cleaning the corners of the house. Inspector Oliver understands who is the real murderer. Can you tell who and how? In this riddle, the maid said, I was cleaning the corners of the house, while Mr. Benjamin lived in a circular house, which had no corners at all. It clearly indicates that she was lying.
2,
Rosie and Sophia entered in a restaurant for dinner. After dinner, they asked for the large bottle of Coke. Sophia loved Coke. She drank 5 glasses in just 3 minutes, while Rosie could finish only 1 glass in 20 minutes. As soon as they reached home, Rosie died. Everyone suspected Sophia for Rosie's murder. Poor Sophia was put behind the bar. Inspector Oliver investigated Sophia and released her, declaring that she was innocent. Instead, he arrested the waiter for committing murder and attempt to commit murder. Can you find out why? Because the ice and not the drink was poisonous. The waiter who served the girls with ice wanted to kill both of the girls. Sophia finished Coke before melting the ice, so she remained alive, and Rosie drank Coke in 20 minutes. It was sufficient time for melting the ice, so poison mixed in her Coke and she died.
1,
3 men, Joseph, John and Henry, were passing through Sahara Desert. Joseph owes grudge to John and decides to kill him. He mixes poison into John's water with intention to kill him, while Henry is absolutely unaware of Joseph's intention and action. He too wants to kill John. He makes hole in John's water can, causing whole water flew away. Next morning, when John woke up, he found his water can empty. He couldn't survive the thirst and dies in the evening. Now Henry is arrested for committing John's murder. For suppose you are a lawyer pleading Henry, What would you say in his defense? My lord, my client only flew away the poisoned water, and flowing the poisoned water is not a crime. My client's action only extended life of the deceased. Had he drank the poisoned water, he must have died in the morning. My client only extended his life. Well, viewers, let's solve this riddle with another angle. Please comment below what would you argue if you were pleading Joseph instead. If you like this video, please press the like button. Also comment your views about this video. Please share this video with your friends and subscribe my channel. Don't forget to press the bell icon. See you next time. Long live Pakistan. Long live the good world.